Okay, so this one's going to be to sex a Lutino cockatiel. I'm going to try and make this one brief because I can go on and on. Some people find these birds really hard to sex. Some people find these birds can be sexed just as easily as any other of the easy to sex birds. Yes and no. Why? Really, because the barring that you're going to find on a Lutino, if it's a hen, it's not going to be gray barring. It's going to be yellow barring. So when you have yellow on yellow, it can be pretty difficult to see, especially Lutinos far away. You really can't spot out a male and a female. These birds far away, I can spot out which one's which, but these birds far away, I really can't spot out the male and the female. You have to look close for these birds. A lot of people say that the male Lutino is going to have a nice bright yellow face mask, and the hen is still gonna have a yellow head, but it's gonna be not as like you know, pow pow in your face, nice and yellow. It's difficult to judge. Lutinos, their bodies can vary from being white, from their bodies being like a lot of yellow, not a unison yellow, but a lot of yellow. So if you wanted to sex this one, the Lutino on the top over here, it would be a little more easier to see the yellow barring because its body is white or a really, really pale yellow. The barring would be easier to see because it would be like a darker yellow. So those kind of Lutinos, it wouldn't be so difficult to sex. It has to be in good light, and you have to hold, would have to open up the wings and look up really close, okay? You can't sex them from far away. If you probably wanted to sex this Lutino, it might be a little more difficult because its body is pretty yellow, and which means that the barring, which is also yellow, the contrasting two yellow colors, it's just going to be so difficult to see. And that's basically the issue with Lutinos. It really depends on the contrast color between the body and their yellow barring. So this man, I'm assuming it's a man. I don't know. It looks like man hand. Hello. So what he did is, it's a good example. I'm sorry, you really can't see it on my cell phone, but if you were looking at this picture on Google on your desktop screen, you could see barring on this wing. Okay. Here you go. You can see the barring. You see how not easy that is to spot? I mean, you really, really, really have to look under good lighting. And the mistake a lot of people make is they don't look at it under good lighting. And they just take horrible pictures. It's like really dark and you can't see anything. It has to be under good lighting. You can see barring. You can see barring. Okay, I don't know how old this bird is. Let's assume that it's a female. Again, to sex Lutinos, they have to have had their first molt between 6 and 9 months. Could happen a bit earlier, could happen a bit later. And again, the young males are going to have the barring just like the female, okay? So let's assume that this is an older hen. She's going to have her barring, and this male will not. Okay, if this is, now let's switch it. Let's pretend this is a male. He won't have any barring. He's going to have the just solid white like this. In fact, this is probably a male because the feathers are going solid. I'm not seeing any barring on these ones, so it's probably a young male losing its barring. You can also see it under the tail too. The tail should have a very faint barring as well. Now, this one is easy to sex because the body color seems to be white. So the contrast between this yellow and this white, it's good. But now if its feathers were more yellow, you can see how the contrast is, it's going to be really hard. So some Lutinos are easy to sex and some are not. That's why some Lutinos need to be DNA sexed. You can also sex it based on the parents. So basically, just flat out, if the mother is not Lutino, this bird would be a hen. That's how you would sex that bird. Basically, Lutino is sex-linked, so if the mother is not a sex-linked, is not visually showing the color, the Lutino, if she's not cinnamon, if she's not pearl, but her baby is a cinnamon, a pearl, or a Lutino, that baby is a hen. And that's how you would sex it via the parents. I'm just trying to do videos sexing it visually, but yeah, there's other ways that you can sex birds. So this Lutinos is popular if you want to sex it via what its parents are. Or if, you know, if its body is a little lighter colored white and the bars are yellow. If the body is just too yellow, it's very difficult to sex. Again, also make sure you do have a Lutino. It has to have red eyes. Okay? If it doesn't have red eyes, and if in good lighting it has dark eyes, they're like dark brown or like blackish almost, and it's looking into the sunlight and you can see it on the off the side, and it's a dark color, then it's probably a clear pied. We'll get into that a bit later. As they get older, though, Lutinos, their eyes start turning like a dark wine red, though, so it could get a little bit confusing, but it's a dark wine red. So that's basically how you would sex a Lutino. It can be easy or it can be difficult to sex a Lutino. It just depends on the overall yellowing of the body. And again, yes, you can have a male that has a beautiful yellow head versus the female next to it who has not such a beautiful yellow head. But yeah, you have to make sure that the contrasting body color, isn't too overall yellow. It just gets really confusing on the amount of yellow it is on the body versus the head versus under the wings. So that's how I would sex a Lutino. If I can possibly sex it visually, depends if you guys send me good pictures. If you guys don't send me good pictures, or if it's just like really too yellow, like forget it, I won't visually sex it. Yeah, and you can get a DNA sex. You can order a kit online. So that's how you would sex a Lutino. Thank you.